Please listen to me carefully. I want you to understand that I am not trying to frighten you, and I am not trying to dramatize reality. I am speaking to you the way a serious person speaks when the subject is important. Imagine that we are sitting across from each other, and I am telling you something that many people only understand when it is already too late. Every year, thousands of buildings around the world partially or completely collapse. Many people assume these collapses only happen during earthquakes, floods, or explosions. That belief is wrong. A large number of collapses happen in ordinary conditions, on normal days, with no natural disaster involved. When engineers investigate these incidents, they almost always reach the same conclusion: the building showed clear warning signs long before it failed. The collapse was not a surprise. It was the final step of a long, ignored process. A house does not suddenly decide to fall. Structural failure develops over time. Concrete is strong, but it is not immortal. When water enters concrete through small cracks, it slowly reacts with the materials inside, reducing strength year after year. Steel reinforcement inside the concrete is even more vulnerable. When steel rusts, it expands. That expansion pushes outward, cracking the surrounding concrete and weakening the structure from the inside. This process can continue silently for years, hidden behind paint and walls, while the house still looks stable from the outside. This is not speculation. Civil engineering research has repeatedly shown that long-term moisture exposure can reduce concrete strength by more than 30%. Steel corrosion is one of the leading causes of structural failure worldwide. Foundations also suffer over time. Soil shifts, erosion occurs, and small movements slowly change how weight is distributed. A structure that was once balanced becomes stressed, and stress always looks for the weakest point. Let me give you a real-world example that proves this clearly. In 2021, a residential building called Champlain Towers South in Florida collapsed during the night. People were asleep inside their homes. This was not an old or abandoned building. Families lived there, paid rent, and trusted it every day. After the collapse, investigators reviewed engineering reports and maintenance records. They found extensive concrete cracking, long-term water intrusion, and severe corrosion of steel reinforcement. Most importantly, these issues had been documented years earlier. Warnings were written, concerns were raised, but repairs were delayed. The building did not fail without warning. It failed while people believed that waiting was safe. Now bring this closer to your own life. Think about the signs people commonly see in their houses. A crack in the wall that slowly grows longer. Tiles that separate slightly. Floors that feel uneven under your feet. Doors and windows that suddenly stop aligning properly. Water stains that reappear no matter how many times they are painted over. A roof that bends just enough to notice, but not enough to cause panic. Each of these signs seems small. Each one is easy to explain away. But engineers do not look at these signs individually. They look at patterns. And patterns tell the truth. Structural experts agree on this. When multiple warning signs appear together, the danger increases exponentially. Risk does not add up slowly. It multiplies. A single crack may be harmless. Cracks combined with moisture, corrosion, and movement are not harmless. They are evidence. So why do intelligent people ignore evidence? The answer lies in human psychology. Humans are wired to seek stability. Psychologists call this normalcy bias. It is the tendency to believe that because something has not happened before, it will not happen in the future. It is the same reason people stay in dangerous buildings, remain in flood-prone areas, or ignore evacuation orders. The mind prefers familiar risk over unfamiliar action. Waiting feels safer than change, even when waiting is objectively more dangerous. Buildings, however, do not respond to human feelings. They respond to gravity, load, and material limits. Physics does not care about optimism, memories, or financial stress. When a structure reaches its limit, it fails. There is another difficult truth that many people do not want to hear. There is a point where repair is no longer enough. Engineers refer to this as the structural failure threshold. Once key load-bearing elements weaken beyond a critical level, collapse becomes inevitable. At that stage, no small fix will save the structure. No warning sound will announce the end. One column fails, weight shifts, and the rest follows within seconds. Investigations after collapses around the world show the same pattern again and again. Failure usually begins in one critical component, often hidden from view. Once that component fails, the load transfers to other parts that were never designed to carry it. The collapse spreads rapidly. People inside do not have time to react. This is why early action matters so much. But I want you to understand something deeper. This conversation is not only about houses. It is about how people respond to warning signs in general. Relationships do not collapse overnight. They weaken slowly through ignored conversations and unresolved problems. Businesses do not fail suddenly. They fail after months or years of financial warnings. Health does not disappear in one moment. It declines after long periods of neglect. In every case, the signs were present. The evidence existed. The collapse felt sudden only because action was delayed. Responsible action is not panic and it is not fear. It is awareness followed by responsibility. It is inspection, professional assessment, and timely decision-making. Engineers consistently say that early intervention costs less, saves more, and prevents tragedy. Delaying action never reduces risk. It only allows problems to grow quietly. Let me leave you with one final comparison. Imagine two houses with similar cracks and water damage. One owner takes the signs seriously, consults an engineer, and fixes the underlying problem early. The other owner chooses to wait, telling themselves that nothing bad has happened yet. Years later, one house remains safe and functional. The other becomes a headline, a statistic, and a story people discuss after the fact. The difference between those outcomes was not luck. It was timing and responsibility. If listening to this makes you feel uneasy, that is not a weakness. Uneasiness is awareness. Awareness is the moment when you stop ignoring evidence. The real danger is not the crack you notice. The real danger is the crack you notice and choose to live with.